let's look back over the weekend because the college football playoff is starting to take shape, and I think we're getting a pretty good idea of who's going to be playing for a championship. And then Jordan Travis with just a terrible injury, the Florida State quarterback. Listen, there are two things going against Florida State right now. It's that they lost a heck of a player, and if the college football playoff is anything like the NCAA tournament committee, they're going to hold the Jordan Travis injury against them, right or wrong.
Yes, but they shouldn't. I think if Florida State wins out, you have to put them in the national title or in the college football playoff. Not only should they not kick them out for that, Jordan Travis should still be going to New York. Hendon Hooker should have been in New York last year. I don't care that Hendon Hooker got hurt. It was ridiculous that he wasn't in New York.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate with you. Tennessee was the last team out of the NCAA tournament in John Higgins' senior year. I was told by somebody in the room that they were literally the 65th team when they had 64, and part of it was because of his absence. Then you have, and I know I'm talking basketball, okay, Caleb, but you have another situation where who's the big post player that was so good for Cincinnati that fell back around the elbow and broke his leg? Like
Kenyon Martin?
Yeah, Kenyon Martin. Also reminds me of the rapper. Do you remember? He looks just like a rapper. Method Man. He looks just like Method Man. Okay, that's just thought to throw that out there. Washington proves itself. Oregon can assure Pac-12 and college football playoff. And I think number 3, which we all saw firsthand, Georgia establishes its dominance over college football. So if you were doing a power ranking, not just based off what they've done, but the eye test, which I know gets us all in trouble, it's Georgia number 1 with a bullet, right?
We're going to get to that. Oh, power ranking. Yeah, Georgia's probably number 1. Yeah, Georgia's number 1 power ranking. I mean, people that question their schedule, they just beat 3 straight top 25 teams by 9, 35, and 28. Are there any more questions about Georgia?
I don't have any. Texas, a thorn in Alabama's side for the college football playoff because of that win earlier this year. Texas is going to be a thorn in Alabama's side for the foreseeable future and any team that they play. And I see them at the worst being an Ohio State top program. Maybe they don't have the coaching to actually win a championship, but they've got the talent and coaching to get there year in and year out. So that's going to be a tough matchup for any SEC in Texas.
Yeah, so the reason I say Texas is thorn, though, is Texas is not one of the 4 best teams in the country. Alabama may be one of the 4 best teams in the country right now, but this is body of work. Even this is where body of work versus who's better comes into play. Texas beat Alabama. They both have 1 loss. So if you're the playoff committee, you can't put Alabama in over Texas if they both went out, right? You just can't. And even though you know Alabama's better than Texas, so it would Alabama at Alabama. That's why they're a thorn. And so what do you do if you're a playoff committee voter, Dave? When you know for a fact Alabama's the better team, but they both have 1 loss and Texas beat Alabama, you're voting Texas to go in, right? If you're a committee.
The same way I would have voted Tennessee last year over Alabama. Yes, I think head-to-head is the ultimate determining factor. Do I think Alabama's a better team? Yeah.
And also, if Alabama gets in, everything you've ever said about the power Nick Saban wields, that will become the biggest story of college football because that'll create such an outcry on a national scale. I don't think the playoff committee wants to deal with that.
If they play 10 times, I believe Alabama wins 7, but I think the Texas would get in based off the head-to-head. So more news from the weekend as our SEC begins to really come into shape. We talk about Alabama and Georgia, but then Louisville just won't go away. I don't think they're one of the top 8 teams in college football, but they won't go away. Thoughts on the Cardinals?
They keep winning. They keep on winning. They got 1 loss. And Dave, they're number 9. What happens if, so this is where it gets really crazy now. Louisville plays Kentucky this weekend. I think most of us think Louisville's going to end up winning that game now. If they win that game, they're going to play Florida State without Jordan Travis. If they beat Florida State without Jordan Travis, you're all of a sudden talking about Louisville flirting. They win the ACC. What happens if a bunch of other things happen? And you could see them make the case to say they belong in the college football playoff, which would be crazy, but it's possible.
Good. College football playoff chaos scenarios. What do we want if we want chaos?
All right, so here's a crazy one. So Washington's going to beat Washington State this week, and Washington State is bad, even though they blew out Colorado. I think Colorado has just quit on the season. It's something you said. Deion Sanders is a great coach when things are going well. He is not good with it. He's not a good coach you want when things are going bad. That's what I've learned about Deion Sanders. And so I don't really read too much into that. So Washington's going to beat Washington State. What if Oregon loses to Oregon State? There's going to be a 2-loss team playing for the Pac-12 title against Washington. And what if that team upsets Washington? Better yet, what if the winner of Michigan-Ohio State goes and loses to a 2-loss Iowa in the Big Ten title game in a freak upset? And I mean, we're talking, what if, by the way, after losing to New Mexico State last week, and we're going to get to this in a minute, talking about the SEC, but what if Auburn just shocks the world and beats Alabama, and then Alabama goes and beats Georgia in the SEC title? I mean, there are some real, that's a rivalry game, and it's at Auburn. There are some real chaos situations that the committee is praying won't happen.
Yep. As far as the Heisman race, Bo Nix, I mean, it's going to be so weird that he's even going to be on my ballot, because when he was at Auburn, I didn't think he'd hit the broadside of a barn. So there's hope for you, Joe Milton. Jaden Daniels, number 2, according to Caleb. It's going to be really hard, though, for those 2 players to beat Michael Penix. Really hard for them to beat Michael Penix, because he impressed a lot of people in September and October. Jordan Travis is number 4. He's obviously not going to win it with the injuries. Carson Beck's number 5. He will be number 1 leading into the 2024 season. I'll go ahead and tell you, the odds will be, I would say, somewhere around 180, but plus 180 for him to win the Heisman Trophy next year. And then the top 10, Caleb, I love you. And if you want to go by power rankings, that's fine. Ohio State, Michigan, 1, 2. I said Michigan's the best football team based off eye test all year. I think it's Georgia. And I think Georgia is going to win the national championship. And then you have Washington, Florida State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Penn State, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin hanging around.
Yeah, so a few things. First, to the Heisman thing real quick. Right now, Bo Nix has way better stats than Penix. That the whole Heisman is going to come down to if Oregon wins this weekend and plays for the Pac-12 title. Oregon-Washington game is going to determine the Heisman in the Pac-12 title. So let's and so all right, so top 10.
And no, Daniel, I'm not beating on Michael Penix.
Top 10 real quick.
I just think that too many Heisman voters make their opinions in September and October.
No, they don't. They make their opinions the second to last week of November, before Thanksgiving.
Well, and also, yeah, probably true. Penix is also going to be very hard to beat. Some stiff competition there. There's no question about it.
All right, so top 10, Ohio State, Michigan have higher ranked strength of schedules than Georgia. That's it. That's all I need.
You really have to stiffen up and play well.
All right, so Ohio State schedule strength is the second most thing to record to me. Ohio State, Michigan, higher ranked strength of schedules at Georgia. So I got them ahead of Georgia right now. Washington 4th, Florida State 5th. Oregon, Texas, Alabama are the 3 1-loss teams. Notice, Dave, I put Penn State and Ole Miss ahead of Louisville. Do you think I was wrong for that? Even though Louisville has just 1 loss and the others have 2, I just think Ole Miss and Penn State, let's be honest, they've played tougher schedules, and this is a power ranking thing. Penn State and Ole Miss would beat Louisville on a neutral field probably, right?
Agreed.
And lastly, I just wanted to bring up Lincoln Riley is in trouble.
Okay, now I want to get to that. KOW says, I think Hook has Penix envy. Never. Rocky Top Tom says, all of this is why we shouldn't name a title winner or a Heisman winner until after bowl season. Amen. I know that's not the way it used to be. Don't remind me, Caleb, 100 years ago. But I don't know that Lincoln Riley's on the hot seat. I have a theory. Are you ready?
All right, I'm listening.
Lincoln Riley is ready to be on the hot seat. And I think that he truly believes with the Caleb Williams, he can use leverage to get the NFL job he wants. I think that Lincoln Riley has essentially mailed it in thinking about the NFL. He said he wants to retire at 50. He's in his mid-40s, low 40s. I think he wants to try the NFL. I think he's got his ticket. And Caleb Williams, So I don't think he's on the hot seat, more so that I think he's put him on the hot seat on purpose. Your thoughts, brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Design. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry. How about the Fire Opals, a Tennessee tradition? RickTerryJewelry.com. So what do you make of that? It reminds me of Jimbo Fisher not recruiting anyone in his last full season, last full calendar year of recruiting at Florida State, and just griping, and he wanted out. Harbaugh has done some of the same things. It's weird how that thing shaped out and kind of galvanized Michigan. But I think Lincoln Riley got a little taste of that LA, and he's ready to roll on.
Here's where it's different. Quite honestly, Jimbo Fisher had won a national championship. And so he had a lot more leverage. Plus, everybody knew the scandal with his wife, and so it was kind of a known thing.
What was the scandal with his wife? I don't think I know
that. Allegedly cheated on him with a former Florida player.
A Florida player?
Florida, not Florida State, Florida. Yeah, I think it was it Travis Taylor or Travis McGriff? It was one of the Travises that played in Florida. It was either Taylor.
Boy, it'd be really salacious if it was Tim Tebow.
I would. That'd be great.
Stop the show.
So that's the best part about Jimbo was the salary. He got it all after he divorced his wife. So his wife doesn't get any of this buyout, and she's mad about that. And so,
I guess that's the wrong thing to do morally, but I guess his wife looks pretty good if she's able to pull college athletes, right?
Can
you pull up a picture of Jimbo Fisher's wife?
His ex-wife. Oh
yeah. Well, I would think. I wonder if she was sharing any secrets or just sharing other things. Sports Treasures carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia, daily updates. Go to Facebook and follow them at Sports Treasures TN. That's Sports Treasures TN, and they send out daily updates that are absolutely awesome. Can we pull up a picture of Jimbo Fisher's wife? I'll go ahead and
yeah, she doesn't look too happy with him, and this may have been a telling sign. Oh, sorry.
Wow. I would think a Florida football player could do better than that. No offense.
Well, hey, at the end, probably, but that's an ugly picture because she's not happy and not smiling because she's not happy with Jimbo. But back to the point with Jimbo, I'm trying to say that Lincoln doesn't have the cachet, and nor does Caleb Williams anymore. Do you think? I think the people.
Well,
Jimbo Fisher was.
I think Caleb does.
Title.
I don't think Lincoln Riley does. I think Caleb does to say, I'm not going. Let's just pick a team. Bears are probably going to have the first pick. Is that right?
I would think it's Arizona.
Okay, let's say Arizona. Arizona, I think you have the leverage to say, I'm not going to go to that program, and then Lincoln Riley can tag along with me. And if you don't like it, I'll go back to USC. I'll make a good amount of coin when it comes to NIL money, and I'll be just fine. That's what I see happening with Lincoln Riley. I could be wrong, but I've talked to some NFL people about that, and they think that is something he's shooting for.